Hey everybody, it's Mike from Here the Watchman. We're giving you an update here from Long Island, New York. It's been an incredible weekend so far. Russ Dizdar is going to just like bring the house down tonight. But right now I have with me filmmaker, amazing young man who is out there he's like the Indiana Jones of slaying the demonic. Thomas Dunn. Tom, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for saying I'm young. I appreciate that. It means the world to me.
So Tom, you just completed speaking here at this conference and teaching. What can you say about what happened today here?
Well, I'll tell you what happened. I left a lot out.
You didn't give the talk you gave in the shower this morning.
Right.
Oh,
No,
okay.
well, you know what happened was
Did you take a shower this
Yeah, I
morning?
did.
Okay, good.
And I talked about my experience, domestic spiritual warfare, and just training people, showing them, how do you deal with this? And after that, many people came up to me and started talking to me, asking questions, and then I'm thinking, oh, wow, I should have said this from the stage. I should have said this. We should have covered that. But I got to talk to people directly about it. It reminded me of even more things, that I can add to this at a later time or talk about. So it's very relevant, right? Because we all live, in a home where the enemy attacks. I explained at the beginning of the talk, God created the first marriage, and then immediately there was a satanic attack on the first family. Okay, we see that. He came in, he tried to, he tricked them into taking the fruit. Okay, they were there together. And then we see later on the first murder where of Cain and Abel. What happened there? So we see the same things today, the same thing. And I mentioned, if people could get this trick, the devil doesn't really do anything new. It's just a variation on the same temptation. He makes a promise that he cannot fulfill. He's like, do this and you'll have this. Do this and it's going to feel better. Do this and you'll be happy. And that's what he said to Eve, and Adam was there. And if we could figure that trick out, we could save ourselves a lot of heartache.
Well, I think you're right. And I mean, I think it's so crucial what you're teaching. I really do. I mean, because, I will tell you from experience, doing Here the Watchman, when Satan wants to attack, what Satan does is he comes into our house and he pits Jeannie and I against each other. And to be honest with you, he doesn't need a lot of fuel. I mean, the two of us are both eight,
Right.
personality, and we'll go at it. But what he'll do is he'll do that to immobilize us so that we can't do anything else. Now, when you're out there talking at conferences like this and working in the field, do you find that people are unaware of what's going on, that they just think this is like, let me call the attorney and get a divorce kind of a thing?
Yeah, I think so. They, obviously in our flesh, okay, we don't need the devil's help, okay? We can do a lot of damage on our own. He likes to come in and he likes to exploit weaknesses. He likes to exploit weaknesses in our flesh, whether it be our temper, whether it be, temptation for whatever. He doesn't care. Sometimes he's like, okay, let's see how much damage these guys can do on their own, that I'm going to come in and I'm going to jump on this. So the devil has a way of hitting us where we don't know it was him that hit us. That's how good he is at it. And there's been times in my life where I just let him hit me the exact same way over and over. And then I'm like, okay, what the heck is going on here? Why am I allowing this to happen? Then I'm like, okay, I stop that. Then he's got to find another way to do it, And even if you're strong, he's still going to attack you. A lot of times he's going to come after the weakest person. One time I was being interviewed on a radio show. It was this guy called the Radio Preacher Man. He was interviewing me. And I told him, I said, you will never see a divorce with two spirit-filled Christians. You'll never see it happen. Two people that are filled with the Spirit of God. And he was like, well, what do you mean by that? Because he had been through a divorce.
Right.
And I said, well, just what I mean. And he got all mad at me, and he took it all personal. And he never had me back on the show. I was like, whatever, man. But I'm just telling you, has what happened to the disciples and the apostles happened to you. That's what I tell people. There's a difference between the disciples that were with Jesus and the apostles in the book of Acts. They were filled with the Spirit of God to do amazing things. They were shaking. They were scared when Jesus was arrested. Those same people stood up to the law, to the law and to the what am I trying to say? The politicians, and said, "You're not going to quit. You're not going to stop us. You can kill us. You're not going to stop us." The same people ran scared. Okay.
Well, I agree, Tom. And I mean, here's the thing, and I'm glad you brought that up. I really am. I mean, I think that people think that if you're a Christian and you truly love Jesus and you're in a marriage, that means that every morning when you wake up, you look at each other and you say, "Oh, I'm so blessed that you're in my life." I got to tell you, that has not been my experience, and that has not been Jeannie's experience. Now, I will say that in those moments when we say to each other, "I can't stand to be here another moment with you," which happens to every marriage, everybody, when that happens, somehow we rely on our faith in God to know that God put us together, and maybe we should just chill out for a minute and look at how grateful we are to have one another. But I think that as Christians, I think we run and hide from that because we're not willing to admit that because we feel it's a failure as a Christian. What do you think?
Well, I have a list of things. I love my wife. She's a beautiful person. She's amazing. I have a list of things that annoy me that she does. You know what I'm saying? And she's got a list of with me.
Let me get my let me get my list.
So, and that's human nature. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, I don't live with you, but you'd be annoying if I had to live with you, right?
Yeah.
I live with my wife,
right?
Okay,
right.
But we could be friends, right? But when you make a commitment, you're making an unconditional commitment to an imperfect person,
right?
So it takes everything you got. You takes God, and then everything you got to make it work and to make it happen. So, for me, what I try to do is I try to realize, okay, these things that annoy me, God created my wife. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I try to turn it around and use those things as like, this is getting on my nerves. Okay, hold on, Lord. Okay, you're in control. You did this. You made her. You love her. You know what I'm saying? And I'm supposed to go out and love a complete stranger and forgive my enemies. You know what I'm saying? But I can't deal with this right here. So, if we're supposed to apply this out here, we need to apply it in here. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Love your enemies.
Yes.
Okay, sometimes it happens. Our spouse becomes our enemy.
Our enemy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we have to apply that God's word, spiritual warfare, the sword of the Spirit, good advice. We have to apply it in our home. I don't know if I answered your question. I kind of went.
No, I think you did. But I mean, the sad thing is, Tom, that I think as Christians, we sometimes get so caught up in that fact that we have to be perfect, that we can't make a mistake here or a mistake there, and I think that's what kills marriages. I mean, listen, I had a failed marriage in the past, 2 failed marriages in the past before I was saved. Now I've been married to Jeannie for like almost 15 years now. Okay. It's not being married and living a Christian marriage doesn't mean that you tiptoe through the tulips of bliss and you constantly love each other and your children and all that. Right. I got to tell you, sometimes I look at my own kids and I think, okay, those are not my kids. Right. Those are Satan's kids.
Here's the thing. God has given us so much. God has given us so much to help us to be successful in marriage. And I mentioned a resource at the beginning of my talk today, and I didn't want to get into it because that guy does it a lot better. But there are 4 laws of marriage, okay, that God sets up in Genesis chapter 2. And usually when things are messing up in our marriage, we're breaking one of those laws, okay? We're supposed to pursue our spouse. They're supposed to be our priority. They're supposed to be our passion. We're supposed to have purity, okay? When one of those 4 laws gets broken, and again, I recommend the book Marriage on the Rock by Jimmy Evans. He does an amazing job teaching this stuff. And there's so many things. And he doesn't get into the spiritual. He just talks about that, practical stuff there. And then on top of that, the enemy fights. So, God has given us so much. And as Jimmy Evans says, and I quote him, he says, you have 100% chance of success in marriage if you do it God's way. Well, I'm human, you're human, and we fight against God's way.
That's totally, and you know, it's interesting though, when you bring that up. It is interesting that the thing that Satan picks on the most out of that whole equation is the purity issue. Because he will tempt you, and tempt your wife, or tempt you, and that's the thing. I mean, you have to live the good Christian life, but it doesn't mean that, I guess, I don't know how we went down this rabbit hole, but we're there now. I mean, the thing is, Tom, Satan wants to destroy the unity that Christ creates.
Right.
And it's up to us to fight that, and we have to do that all together. And that's the important thing. You shared up there today about some important things. Do you think that the body of Christ is unifying more today, or do you think we're fragmented?
Well, it's both. I see unification, and I see fragmented. I feel like the fragmentation part is a lot bigger. We want to see unity, but God does more with less. You know what I'm saying? There's a remnant out there, and we got to be in this together. We got to work together. I don't know. I come to conferences like this, and I see people show up here, and they're like, they want to be unified. I feel like this is a place where people can find the remnant. They can find the other people. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes I get discouraged, but I'm not without hope because of these kind of meetings, and what Coach is doing and what Russ is doing, and just different things going on. So they're unifying at places like this, I think.
Well, listen, I'll tell you this. I have witnessed you kick some serious satanic butt this weekend. Don't send me a bunch of hate emails because I just said but he did. He sent Satan running, and I witnessed you do that, and my hat is off to you for that. Where does Thomas Dunn go from here? What is it that you do after you leave Long Island, New York?
Well, I've been on the road. I finished a movie back at the end of March, and I've been just going all kinds of places. I've been to Wisconsin. I've been to New York twice. I've been to North Carolina. I've been to Iowa. I've been everywhere. And in between, tons of stuff going on. I really, personally, I want to focus on devotion. I want to focus on prayer and just get that foundation, because life has just been so chaotic recently. So I got to go back. I want to go focus on those things. Ministry takes place. We're doing YouTube shows on a regular basis where we share this information, spiritual warfare and stuff. That's like our tagline, right? And we talk about this stuff. We talk about the fringe stuff. So the ministry is going to take place. There's another film coming down the road, and more conferences coming up. Going to Mike Spalding's conference here in July, and there's more stuff coming up, in the fall.
How do people find out about Mike Spalding's conference? Do you know?
Go Therefore.
Go Therefore.
Go Therefore. I don't know if that's a website, gotherefore.com, but Go Therefore is the name of the conference. There's a ton of people there. L.A. Marzulli. I don't keep people.
Maybe you just Google Mike Spalding, Go Therefore.
Lima, Ohio. Yeah,
Lima, Ohio. Wow.
Russ is going to be there. Mike, Coach Dave, David Arthur, tons of people. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, listen, I gotta tell you, I am so grateful that you were here. I am honored to serve with you.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. We kind of did it if you wouldn't put it on.
It's been an amazing weekend, an amazing journey, and we're just taking it from here. I know we're going to see Russ Tisdar in California. I hope you're going to come along on that and be there in California, because that's the Hear the Watchman Conference in October in Irvine, California, Orange County. And I hope that you're there with us. We've got some real work to do there. So listen, folks, that's going to do it. Tom, how do people find you?
Throughtheblack.com. That's the website. Throughtheblack.com. So that's what takes you to everything that we do.
Awesome. Well, listen, folks, that's going to wrap it up today for this edition of the Watchman's Report. Remember, like I always say, There's nothing that you can't do with Jesus in your heart except nothing at all. Get out there. Be Tom Dunn. Get it done. Did I just say that? Anyway, folks, love you. See you next time here on the Washington Report.